I was in a room full of giants and a baby giant had just dropped me some 10 meters from the ground. The fall would surely have broken my neck, but I was lucky. I did not hit the hard floor but landed in a soft blanket which the mother held around the baby. When I landed in the blanket, the children laughed loudly again, and even the baby joined them. Only the farmer seemed to realize I could have been killed. He picked me up and looked at me closely to see if I was hurt. It was strange to see his face so close. When he smiled at me, I could see great big lines in his skin and his hairs looked like the branches of small trees. Did I look like this to the little people of Lilliput? The farmer then said something to his wife and he went outside. The wife carefully picked me up and carried me to a bed, where she put me down with a handkerchief over my legs. When she left me, I suddenly realized how tired I was. I slept well but dreamt of my family, which made me feel very sad when I woke up some hours later. I looked around me and found that I was alone on an enormous bed in a giant room. The bed was perhaps 8 meters high and I did not know how to get down to the floor. I thought about calling out to the farmer's wife, but my voice would be too quiet for anyone to hear through the great thick door to the room. Suddenly I saw 2 rats, the size of 2 large dogs, running across the floor and towards the bed. When they saw me, they easily jumped up onto the bed and began to attack me. One succeeded in holding on to my sleeve with its teeth, which were the size of swords. I held up my knife to defend myself and succeeded in hurting the rat, which gave a loud cry as it quickly let go and ran away. Its honorable friend looked surprised, then worried, and followed it off the bed and then out of the room through some hole that I could not see. When the farmer's wife entered the room a few minutes later, she looked very surprised to see me sitting on the bed with a knife. Through signs I tried to explain what had happened. She seemed to understand, and took me outside into the garden so I could breathe some fresh air. That evening, the farmer's daughter, Glumdauklitch, who was 9 years old, helped her mother to prepare a tiny bed for me. They put the bed on a low shelf inside a cupboard, which was to be my bedroom for the time I stayed with these people, a place that was safe from any rats. The young girl loved sewing, and she made me clothes and dressed me like a doll. Within a few days she had made me 7 shirts and 4 pairs of trousers. She also taught me her language by pointing to things and telling me what they were called. She was very kind and called me Grildrig, a name that all her family used for me. I later found out that the name means puppet. After a few weeks, all the farmer's neighbors had heard that he had found a tiny human that could speak and walk and do what he was asked. One day, an old man who was a friend of the farmer arrived and asked to see me. So the farmer put me on his kitchen table and told me to talk to the farmer. "How are you, sir?" I said to the old man. "I'm very pleased to meet you." Then I did what he asked me to do. I walked up and down and named the objects that he pointed to in their language. "That's a chair. This is a table, and that's a window." The old man put on his glasses to see me better, but when I looked at him I thought that his eyes looked like 2 giant moons seen through 2 enormous windows, and this made me laugh. The old man looked angry. "Why is this little man laughing at me? Does he think he's being clever? He shouldn't be so rude," he said to the farmer. Although the farmer tried to explain why I was laughing, he did not look happy. "Well, if he's so clever, you should make him work so that you can earn some money from him." The farmer thought about this. "How can I do that?" he asked. 5. Why don't you take him to the market? There are plenty of people there who would pay good money to see this little man walking and talking. Unfortunately, the farmer agreed. "You know, that's a really good idea. It's market day tomorrow. I'll take him there and do what you suggest." When Glumdauklitch heard about these plans, she was very worried about me. "Father, what if the people at the market are cruel to Grildrig? They'll want to pick him up and play with him. They might break his arms or drop him. I don't want him to perform to strangers. He'll be fine. Just think of the money we can get for him," said the farmer. "Let me come with you, then. I can be Grildrig's guard, to check that people don't hurt him." "Very well," said the farmer. Glumdauklitch looked pleased to hear her father agree. The next day, The farmer in Glumdalclitch put me in a small wooden box for the half-hour ride to the market in a nearby town. The box had 3 small holes in it for me to breathe, and also so I could look out. Although Glumdalclitch had put some of her doll's soft blankets on the floor of the box, it was a very uncomfortable journey for me. The horse went about 14 meters with each step and the box moved so much that I felt as if I was on a ship in a storm. Finally we arrived at an inn next to the market, where the farmer asked a friend to advertise what he had inside the box, a tiny human who could say things and perform for the public. I was put on a table in the largest room inside the inn. Glumdalclitch sat on a low stool next to me, to look after me and to tell me what to do. The farmer allowed 30 people at a time to come into the room to see me. My job was to welcome the people when they came into the room, and I walked up and down when I was asked. I answered Glumdalclitch's questions using the words that I knew. "What's your name?" she said. "My name's Gulliver, although my friends here call me Grildrig." The people watching laughed at this. "How high can you jump?" asked Glumdalclitch. "I can show you," I answered, and jumped as high as I could. Again the people laughed. "Now tell me, can you name the things in this room?" This I did, pointing to the objects around the table. "Thank you. Finally, say goodbye to the good people who have come to see you." "Goodbye everyone, and thank you very much for your visit," I cried, as the people were shown from the room. People in the market soon heard all about the amazing little human inside the inn, and more people wanted to see me. Although the farmer stopped people from going too close to me, once a schoolboy threw a nut at me. It was the size of a large rock and it nearly hit my head. It would surely have killed me, and I was pleased to see that the boy was sent out of the room. During my time in that room, I was shown to 12 different groups of people and did the same things for each group. When my work was finally finished, I was exhausted. The farmer put up a sign saying that we would return the next day, but I was so tired when I got back to the farmer's house that I had to rest for 3 days. However, even at the farmer's home I could not rest completely. All the farmer's neighbors had now heard of me, and each day, people paid the farmer to come and see me in his home. There were at least 30 people in his house at any time, usually other farmers with their wives and children of all ages. The farmer was very happy because he was now getting a lot of money, and he decided it would be a good idea to take me to all the cities in the land so he could show me to even more people. He packed all the things necessary for a long journey, and on 17th of August 1703, the farmer, Glumdalclitch, and I set off for the capital city. It was about 3,000 kilometers from the farm where I had stayed to the capital, and I was carried in the box which Glumdalclitch had now filled with many more of her doll's soft blankets to make it more comfortable. The farmer planned to show me in all of the towns and some of the villages that we passed on the way to the capital. We stopped at 18 large towns, many small villages and even some private houses. Perhaps understanding that this was exhausting for me, Glumdalclitch often told her father that she was tired and wanted to rest during the journey. Then she would take me out of the box to give me some air, sometimes spending some time teaching me more of their language. She also liked to show me where we were traveling. I saw many enormous buildings and 5 or 6 rivers that were wider than the Nile. After 10 weeks, we finally arrived in the capital city, which was called Lorbrulgrud. The farmer found a hotel in the main street, not far from the king's palace, and put up signs to advertise what I could do. He hired a room in the hotel with a huge table in the middle where I could perform. And so I appeared every day before the people of the capital. Thanks to Glumdalclitch's language lessons, I could now understand everything the people said, and I knew they were all amazed. The farmer continued to earn lots of money, but unfortunately, the more he earned, the more he wanted people to see me. He did not realize how tiring I found the work. After a few weeks, I had lost a lot of weight and felt ill and tired. The farmer saw that I looked like a skeleton and was worried I would die. But luck was with me, because just when I thought I could not work another day, a servant arrived from the palace and said that the farmer should go at once to show me to the queen. It was a short journey to the enormous palace, where I bowed down to the queen of the country. "I'm very pleased to meet you," I cried. She smiled when she saw me and then asked me some questions about my own land and seemed very interested in my replies. "I see," she said. "You are clearly an intelligent person despite your size. Perhaps you'd like to live here, in the palace, with the king and my family?" "That's a very kind offer," I said. "However, I belong to the farmer. I would be happy to live with you, but only if the farmer agrees to it." The farmer, knowing that I was ill and thinking that perhaps I would soon die, immediately said that he would be happy to sell me for 1,000 pieces of gold. The queen clapped her hands. "Go and get me the money he needs," she called, and soon servants arrived carrying coins that the farmer happily took from them. I then bowed down again. "I'm very happy now that you're my owner," I said. "Can I ask one small request? Would you mind letting me keep Glumdalclitch as my teacher? She's been very kind to me and has taught me all I know about your country." The queen asked the farmer if this was possible, and he agreed, happy that his